beautiful ending. How much it was so obvious that in the end Soroto and Kosei would need to fuse to actually defeat Domora, it does feel still like a first. Because we never really had an Ultra and a human that are fully realized and fully developed characters fuse. Like, it's really cool. Like, neither of them exists to support the other. And that is something that Ultraman doesn't pull off, or really never pulled off before. This ending really shows what the series has been really building up towards too. Humanity evolving, not for destruction, not for escalation, but for protection, for choosing to help one another even when there is no god left to rely on. The build up to that moment was incredible. Kosei risking his own life to activate that weapon while him being in immediate danger, knowing that he's literally the last line of defense, knowing that Omega is not coming to save them. It never feels heroic in a flashy way. It feels desperate, grounded, human, and the quiet moment before worked really well. Kosei, like getting a quote unquote final goodbye with Ayu and Ota, thanking them for everything, acknowledging the time that he spent with them, mirroring Soroto's entire inner conflict perfectly. Soroto, torn between being a space gazer and wanting to help humanity, knowing the rules but also knowing the risks. But also knowing that the people who gave him a home needed him. What makes it harder is learning that, what makes it even harder, learning that it was always the plan. The director literally said in an interview after the episode finished airing, Kosei becoming Omega was a decision right from pretty much the beginning of the planning stages of the show. It was never a late twist, something that was added on after like seeing the cast and seeing how the cast interact. Like, the entire series was quietly leading to this place right here. This transformation was treated as something sacred. Both actors put insane pressure on themselves to get it right, because that moment, if that moment didn't land, the whole moment and the entire arcs for both characters would just fall apart. And narratively, it makes sense. Soroto's body is basically gone in the finale. Only his light remain, living inside the Ultra Meteor. He still has powers, but he cannot exist on his own physically anymore. So he entrusts everything to Kosei. It's not symbolic, it's literal. His entire existence is in Kosei's hands. He doesn't ask anyone. He doesn't hesitate. He trusts him completely. He doesn't obey. He doesn't leave. That's the purest form of entrustment. Soroto declaring himself as Ultraman feels like the true ending of his arc. Not because he wins, not because he loses, but because he finally understands what's it like to actually be a hero. And that is being there, not standing alone, not carrying everything by himself, but pressing through that strength on. The director described the whole show as basically an episode 0, a prologue where Omega truly begins. And honestly, it is kind of funny that is practically it's the third year in a row that Subaru produced an Ultraman show, which the entire season is a prequel to the real story. And it also explained why this show kind of feels different. The director talked about how when he worked on Ultraman Orb years ago, he believed that heroes are inherently lonely. But that perspective changed. Omega built on the idea of heroes don't have to be alone. There is nothing weak about needing help. Being together makes people stronger, and that philosophy is baked into every major choice in this finale. And having them die and fuse is a perfect way to honor the classic Ultraman trope, but still saying something new. It's an old school concept, but in modern execution and character writing. I love that the show ended 1 year later. Uta going out to space trying to communicate with the space gazers. Ayu hiring Kosei as her assistant, giving him a role that he can change lives. Soroto is still inside him, healing. And throughout that year, Ultraman is still there, fighting. And that being Kosei is fucking brilliant. Episode 25 gets an S plus. In my calculation overall, Ultraman Omega gets an A plus. Ultraman Omega started off as the quote unquote least talked about show in the last 3 years. If you really look at it, people really enjoyed Blazer. People really enjoyed Arc. And Blazer was kind of understatement. It was an understated show. But with it, we really get to see how much the director and the people who worked on it really gets Ultra and really gets how to take what's classic and really change it. Like, Arc went really innovative and just went out there and did whatever the hell it wanted. Blazer took a lot of, if you really look at it, a lot of the Heisei era stuff and just reinvented. Omega was a show that fixed itself to the modern influences of its eyes. There isn't a movie, but it seems that maybe for the 60th anniversary of of the entire franchise, we're going to get something different, something new, and maybe something longer. Let's actually dive deeper into our core trio, and in my opinion, what makes the show great. What makes Ultraman Omega great is the people who carries its story. Sorto's journey ends not with victory, but with understanding. He begins the series as a being defined by rules, a space gazer meant to observe, not to choose. What Earth gives him is friction, people who act without permission, kindness, that ignore consequences, and by the end, Soroto realized that the cruel truth of the doctrination. A hero that never chooses is a hero that never truly lives. His final act isn't saving the planet with raw power, it's entrusting his existence to something else. For the first time, Soroto chooses as a person over a system. That choice cost him his body, his independence, and his certainty, but he gave his life meaning. Kosei, meanwhile, was never meant to be special, and that's exactly why he is a runner who always placed third, a man stuck in between a dream and reality. Even when he kept believing, even when Ultraman left, when Soroto disappeared, and Omega stripped him from his meteor kaijus, Kosei left with nothing but his humanity. And that's when the show makes the boldest statement. Kosei doesn't become Ultraman because destiny chose him, he becomes Ultraman because someone trusted him completely. When he fuses with Soroto, it's not an ascension, it's responsibility. Omega doesn't replace humanity, it becomes proof what humanity can be. And then there is Ayumi, the quiet spine of the story. While Soroto questions existence, Kosei throws himself into danger, Ayumu builds a community. She believes in structure, research, and long-term responsibility. She never stopped being human. She never stops questioning power. She never mistakes Ultraman for a solution instead of a partner. By the end, when she hires Kosei and continues to work towards communication rather than escalation, The future of Earth feels stable, not because a God watches over them, but because there is someone still doing the work. Together, the trio define what Ultraman Omega is about. Not a lone hero, not a divine savior, but trust, strength passed forward, burden shared, a world protected not by standing above it, but by standing together. Ultraman Omega doesn't end with the world being saved. It ends with certainty that can be. I fucking loved the past 6 months covering Ultraman Omega. I'm like excited for what's coming up next. I'm excited for what the hell Theo's going to be. I'm interested in the new Zero movie. Yeah, 2026 is probably going to be quite of a big year for Subaru production. So, what's your overall thought of not only Ultraman Omega episode 25, but also the entirety of Ultraman Omega as a show? Comment below, let me know. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please, if you liked it, smash that like button. Help your subscribe button achieve its true goal of becoming a subscribed button by smashing that subscribe button. Don't forget, you're the only one that can prevent forest fires. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.